Now, this is where our transition ended is one phase. And after this, what do you want to do in 2021? I think it's important to realize what we want to do. We want to allow the teams to behave like companies. Because how do you do it? We are allowing them to build their capabilities and their skill sets. We are not dictating what capabilities you have to build. That means we are enabling them to the ultimate situation of learning what they want to learn, build capabilities, get references, get orders, and execute them. One of the important aspects is we always think that meeting customer expectation. From there, we are moving to every time we look at how much value did we add to our customer in his success. That's the transition we are doing now. Once you meet your goal of achieving 90% plus on-time delivery, that's a cliche. We should forget it now. Now, where did I add value to my customer? Did I reduce his construction cost? Did I reduce his erection cost? Did I reduce his fabrication cost? Did I reduce his material cost? So we are now looking at, like that's where we said we built a knowledge portal where we have the entire knowledge available in a software. Intuitively, people can go back and search every aspect and figure out how I can add value to my customer. We are looking at value addition each of the team. We will continue to harness the innovative solutions which are in-house developed and convert into the software product. Product and high-level service, we are hopeful that we have beaten the paradigm shift and we will become the torchbearers for the new paradigm when the pendulum starts moving in the opposite direction, which we see happening in the next couple of years. So other important thing is we will be completely digital. We'll be focusing heavily on AI and automation. And most importantly, we are upstreaming the problems. Customers used to see problem at a direction. Now we are going to show them while they're designing. So staying digital, automation, artificial intelligence will help them to upstream the problem. So rather than being reactive, they can be proactive. This will also bring down the huge arbitration which people go through, the huge cost they incur. So my existing customers are not too very happy with about us. So very soon we're going to be changing our customer profile because they're definitely not going to be happy when we say your change orders come down, because this software will greatly bring down the change orders because we anticipate the problem much ahead and we provide solution even before it occurs. So we're going to be moving away from the existing customer base. So we go up on the value chain. I think I end this session with this. And if there are any questions, I would like to.
So Shiv, if you can stop sharing the slides so that we can see everyone. Excellent. So floor is all yours, guys. You can ask questions. So before people ask, I mean, I think for us, it was looking like a textbook example of self-management and going beyond. So future of workplace and self-management put together. So superb. Yeah. Thanks so much, Shiv.
Fantastic, Shiv. Fantastic. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay. Anu, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say something. It's not a question. Shiv, I'm an agile coach and I work with many different organizations. And for me, it's like a dream to hear a person at your level talking this language. You're explaining the agile principles to us. You're talking about servant leadership. I mean, thank you so much.
See, one of the things which I've seen from an early era is we always invite a consultant and say it's your problem. Unless otherwise the entrepreneur and the management thinks it is their problem and understand the complete process, we're really not going to be transitioning. That's my firm belief. So this is where you need to, in everything else we say, don't lead by example, but in this you have to lead by example.
Very well said, Anu. And Shiv, you have demonstrated amazingly brave leadership in questioning conventions, be it in how you manage the team, as well as now in the product as well. Now you are saying, I'm okay to, for my existing customers to be unhappy, but so excellent example of brave leadership. Awesome.
See, it's a do or die, right? If I don't do it, somebody else is going to occupy that place. I think it's a short-lived satisfaction that I keep this product to myself and not give it to anybody else. But very soon you'll realize you lose your customers, also the business.
And to me, before others, so you move to self-management to solve a business problem to increase your agility, right?
Yeah.
And that's yielded amazing results for you. Brilliant, amazing.
Yeah, it's a journey. I call it the journey. It hasn't stopped. It only has. So when you look at this like equilibrium in your demand supply, organization's routine also start moving to new equilibriums. If the organization moves into new equilibrium, it again becomes stale, like stale water becomes stagnant. Organization has to be disrupting all the time. That means it has to learn and keep evolving all the time. That's the only way the great organizations have got built, which are some of the leading organizations have all built like that. And we aspire, though not aspire to be as big as them, but the happiness of building an organization, the happiness quotient of the team members to stay high, this is the best way to make it happen.
Okay, let's open the floor for questions.
Hi, this is Abhijit here. So thank you for a beautiful presentation. Actually covered most of my questions. You had any presentation, slide by slide, you cover everything. So I have one because actually we did adopt a lot of other practices in my personal experience. When you are in a long journey with a customer in a project, two different organization and two different culture comes into play. I may adopt a particular agile methodology or some other methodology I adopt, and my organization is designed on self-management. But when in a partnership journey of 1 and 2 years, I'm talking about pharma. We have a pharma where the drug discovery takes almost 2 years, 3 years. And this is a long journey, correct? But there is a cultural boundary come, and that becomes a clash because I am primarily transparent. But when you go to the pharma, they are very conservative, very reserved. And then I get a lot of friction between these cultural differences. When you partnership with them, correct? I am very transparent. When I am looking for my transparency, need some more data from that side, it doesn't come, and I get suffered because of that. So have you faced those things, and if you have, how you have tackled those?
See, if you look at the construction industry in the US is not residing in Californias and New Yorks of the world. Some of my customers are not got onto aeroplane. They are not moved out of the states. So there was a cultural clash, but what came to rescue was the common interest of their success, not our success. When we saw the process and the methodology is helping in their success, not just making me more profitable, because that was never a profitable issue which we looked at. We wanted to make sure that we look at making him successful. That's the only way we could get repeat business. So it was customer centric. So Abhijit, we didn't find this issue, even though we ran projects which ran for like Dow Chemicals. We worked with them. We have been working for 2 years, and we had local partners, Rajesh, your Erswell company, LTTS, were their local partners. They spent 6 months in our office. They don't use Agile, but every day morning they come up for stand-up meetings, and they saw we are listing problems. We are trying to address it ahead of time. So we didn't find any blockers, Abhijit, in
that's
our
fine.
customers.
Absolutely. Because my challenge is I go to the scientists, they are born and brought up in that environment. Even their name and email address they share, the mindset is, okay, what are you going to do with that? So, that's a different, but your story is excellent story. Absolutely. I agree on that.
Yeah, quite a few hands up.
Girish,
you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. And thanks, Shivakumar, for sharing a lot of very good innovation stories, and many things, are already showing us some way. One of the point I wanted to check with you is you mentioned as a team to behave like a company. This is something I would like to understand a little more, because this is something in a similar line I try to implement. Not successful in full strength though, because I try to convince people saying that don't work as an employee, but work as a contributor. That's how you grow with the organization. So that's been taken by some people, but not all. So I see that you are talking in a similar lines. You make a small group and work as a companies or something. If you can elaborate that, that would be helpful.
Yeah. See, one of the important aspects we saw was the fear of letting people know what my billing rates are, what's the billing they're achieving, how much revenue are they making. We have a lot of fear. And in 2018, we let go the fear and we started telling people, you quote, you know the price, you execute. Now, when the people think that we are fair, that we are not looking at we making all the money as promoters, but letting the money grow in the organization for the organization's benefit, the acceptance starts coming. The first stage in this is to become very transparent in the revenue. This is something which I learned from Wipro. I think Wipro way back in '86 always had the transparency to tell what was the profit each division was making. So here we brought it down to every team. Every team knows because they estimate. They know the final price. They know how much to bill, when to bill, how to bill. So they control the entire destiny of the project. The other important aspect which we did in this current year is the purpose of these teams will now is defined as how do you expand into multiple teams, because you got to enable your senior people to form teams. So that's where we brought in capability enhancement, skill enhancement, organizational goal in terms of reaching out to more customers, getting more references, because we are a large reference-driven company. Because in construction industry, if you want to be successful, you should execute successful projects. Now, who can be the best guy to get customer reference? Not the sales guy. He hasn't done any favor to the client. All the favors are done by the team members, and unfortunately, we don't allow them because we ourselves didn't allow all our people to talk to customers, thinking that they can't communicate. He will not be able to understand our English. So many inhibitions. But once we overcome the inhibition, allow the team to interact, they have found ways of communicating. They have found ways of getting references. So we picked up a large order based on a reference, which is going to be like our 1 year's revenue with one project from one customer, which is completely on reference of one team. Now the question is, how do we reward the team? Like today we have, when somebody comes up with an innovative idea, the benefit goes to all the team members, all the teams. What does this individual get? So we have those reward systems in place where the guy who comes up with the innovation, comes up with a reference, gets rewarded throughout that project, throughout that innovation for the benefit others are getting. This is like you have a patent. So somebody keeps getting royalty for coming up with the patent. So we have a similar mechanism where people get benefited, rewarded for that continually. So now we see, the thing is continuously what we are saying is I'm becoming more freer and freer. So now I need to become more free. So I need to enable them to do more work.
Thanks.
Did I answer you, Girish?
Yes, yes, definitely. Thanks.
Chris, you had a question. And then we'll go. There are some questions in the chat also.
Yeah, thank you so much. Fantastic work, Shiv. Amazing. Right at the beginning of this journey, Shiv, I'm sure you had to start working with your senior members of the team to bring about this change. What were the biggest challenges and, those underlying, currents and the challenges that you would had to face, and how did you go about dealing with them? Because I think that's the biggest barrier that one needs to cross. So was it the same for you, and how was it for you?
Yeah, I think the highest resistance comes from the senior most guy in the organization for any change. It is no different. We also had the same problem. The way we overcame is we got each one of them to go and learn something unique to arrive at what should be adopted, rather than all of us thinking about one. One senior manager went and did PMP, other guy did Six Sigma. So we allowed them to go back and do one specialization, to learn from that and come back and present and collectively decide what has to be done. Now, the other important aspect which came up was, which was taken up much early when we moved from 18-member team to 6-member team, was we said everybody in the team should at least contribute 80% towards customer success. That means we can't say I do people management. The senior managers always look at people management as their forte. And we had to explain multiple times about the midlife crisis which they can come across, because somewhere people tend to get saturated. How many people can replace me? Only one can replace me. But does it help them? What happened to others when one of the senior managers replaces me, and what happens to others? Unless otherwise they improve their skill, they are not going to survive in this rat race today. So when we started moving them into skilling up, developing certain skills, we were able to break that mindset that we will not allow change to happen.
So I'll go to a question from the chat, Shiv. This is from Sahana Ravindranath. As you changed people processes such as performance management, how was HR involved in making this change happen?
I think one of the strong beliefs we had, Sahana, from the very beginning was we always said line manager is the HR manager. We never inculcated HR to be the most important function in the organization. HR's function was human resource development, not performance management, performance appraisal. Typically what happens is we confuse HR with appraisal system, payroll system, all those things which are not HR. Like human resource development should be their primary motive, trying to get people, train people, look at what their interests are. Like for example, in the last 1 month, one of the most important activity my HR team has done is we had about 24 people, 25 people who had fallen sick. Every day, morning, evening, my HR team has been talking to people and recording their oxygen saturation level. That means HR team was becoming people-centric, not worried about performance appraisal and things like that, because the performance appraisal happens on a monthly basis now. It is self-declaration of the people, the customer feedback, what we get. It's so those things are put together and it happens by the team with a meeting with the management, and we declare what rating we give to the team every month. It's no more taking everything to 1 year and then trying to explain how it happens. So we had to look at the individual line manager himself becoming a HR manager, because one of the biggest problem we see is you don't know your team members. If you don't know your team member, how will you actually work as a team? So when we brought it to 6 people, we need to know every individual in the team. So I personally know the team and their team members and their families, probably 50% of them. So every one of the team member here knows every other guy. Like for example, now somebody is living in a PG, his team member takes food from the canteen and goes and gives it. So these are things which would otherwise done by admin and HR. That's wasting their time. So we are left a lot of HR issues to the respective team managers to handle. That's what we did.
So Shiv, Ricardo Sember has a beautiful quote. He says, managing people is too critical role to be left to a HR function, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
With apologies to all the HRs on the call.
No, HR has a great function. HR has a great function of building the team, recruiting them, training them, look at what is of their interest. So those are the areas they need to participate. But today, in a power-centric organization, we look at appraisal as the most important power, right? So I think those old hierarchical methodologies have to be stopped to get each team to focus where the value add. HR has to evaluate in their area of specialization, not in some other area.
There's another question. Sorry, Raish, I'll just go ahead.
No, a lot of hands up also, in case you're not seeing the hands.
Yeah, no, I'll just finish this question and then I think we'll go to Divya Ramachandran. When hiring new team members, how do you identify individuals who would thrive in a self-learning environment?
Yeah, a very interesting question. Currently, what we do is we allow the entire team to decide whether they can recruit the person or not. The responsibility of the recruitment team is to bring the person onto the table. The decision on hiring him or not is left with the team. All the 6 members of the team, or 5 members when they have lost one, meet and decide whether they can recruit him or not. Once they recruit, the work is theirs to make sure he's part of the team. They inculcate the culture. We don't look at centralized process to inculcate the culture.
So I'm going to just check. Thanks, Chef. Prakhya, do you want to ask the question yourself? He has a question about transparency with bill rates, deal size, etc. with the team. Won't this be a threat if the team member leaves the company?
See, the thing is, I would like to narrate a small story since I was associated with Wipro those days. Mr. Suta left Wipro to start Mindtree, and along with him, Subhrata Bakchi joined, who was head of Lucent, and Janki Raman, who was handling the entire Lucent business. Raja Shanmugam, who was the front-end sales manager for Lucent from Wipro. 150 people in technology moved out into Mindtree. Lucent did not move. Lucent did not move from Wipro to Mindtree. So what it means is if you have delivered to the customer to his satisfaction, people may go with pricing, but price doesn't define everything. So I'm very happy that we have half a dozen offshoots from people who have worked in our organization, and we haven't lost a customer.
Yeah, Shiv, that's true actually. Like depends on the quality what you deliver and the confidence what the customer finds in you, right?
Yeah.
But now what the challenge is, what we are seeing is the customer themselves will provoke the team members to join some other organization. Like they say that why don't you join them? Because if you have a vendor-centric organization, like assume that the customer has 3 vendors working for them, right? And always what they do is they run the RFP with all the 3 vendors, and whoever quotes the best will get the deal, right? That's how the competitive it is all about. So
Yes.
what's happening is what they do is if the vendor is there with the organization for 5-6 years, and if the newcomer, they will quote obviously a lesser price to get the deal, right? So during those cases, what we have seen is customer will identify some of the key guys from one vendor where they are running it from so long, and they identify the key guys to join the other vendor and go with that price. So
I agree with you. Definitely there. See, one of the things which we have seen is when we look at the relationship between us and our customer, it happens at multiple levels. It doesn't happen just with the vendor manager or the outsourcing manager. Today, at every level, Mahesh interacts with the owner. My sales VP interacts with the project managers. My project lead interacts. So that means we have a relationship across the hierarchy of the customer. And in our business, our service component is probably not even 2% of the project value. But we can be troublesome to make sure that they can lose tens of 20s of percentages. So it's not been the case where they have they try, they fish, they do go and check, but we also let go sometimes. One of projects they go, they realize, and they get back, because we are always looking at, see, the thing is, this is where I always look at, we need to fortify our position as an organization. That means when the individual or a set of individuals leave our organization, they go with the intellectual property, what was there at that point of time. In a learning organization, in the next 3 months, your intellectual properties would have gone that much more, and your delivery capabilities and the methodology of delivering and the content of delivery would be much higher. Because when they go out, the same culture doesn't exist in the organization, other organization. So we also had the same fear. When people go out, they'll carry this intellectual property. But if you have a roadmap that you will keep on fortifying your position every quarter to give higher and higher value delivery, then we definitely would not worry about people leaving. Like I said, my head of delivery left in 2015. So that means he was interacting with every customer. Now, did we lose a customer? No. Did he get a business from the existing customer? He did get, because when he said, look, I'm starting on my own, please give me an order. They gave an order, but all small orders. But none of the big orders went to them. And today they're back 100% with us. So I think we are not extremely worried. After that, we have lost several other senior managers starting on their own. I think we have got out of the fear of losing senior people, and losing customers with them. I don't think we have the fear at all.
Okay, thanks, Shiv. Yeah, and I have, is it okay if I ask one more question?
Yes.
Okay.
There are 3 other people, Pragyat, so maybe after that.
Okay, sure, Rajesh.
Sorry, man, sorry.
Harini, Venkat and Susan.
Susan?
Yeah, hi. I think thank you. Thanks a lot for this wonderful session. I just had one thing which I think almost got covered since my hand was up for some time now. I'm just wondering, Shiv, during this journey, did you look also as a team, as an internal customer to the other team? And if one did that, would skilling be an issue? Because then everybody becomes proprietor.
Okay. Now, the only software development team is the only team who have an internal customer. On my engineering services, we don't have any internal customers at all. Right? Now, the thing is, when I look at the software development team is a separate division. They take products out of the development done by the engineering team, where we also develop software applications. So there was never a clash that somebody else is going to compete with me or somebody is not going to service me, because we are encouraging people to find problems and find solutions. We are not dependent on the software development team to build applications and solve all the problems for us. They are looking at taking this product, making it multi-threaded, ability to handle large volume and things like that, not necessarily looking at solving our problems. We do not have any specific division which is meant for solving internal problems. A set of people will come together and solve the problems. Did I answer you, Susan, or did I not?
Yeah, no, kind of, because I mean, I know like in our organization, there are various internal customers. So I was just thinking, but then it links, whatever you said, it makes sense. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. Harini, you want to go next?
Yes. Shiv, a very quick, straight question. You said that people were leaving for 1,000 rupees more, etc., and you brought in a policy of certify yourself and you get an increase. Yeah. So when you started that, did you have people upskilling themselves for leaving at a higher price rather than upskilling themselves for staying? And if yes, then how did you actually make the latter happen, upskill to stay?
So if you look at our skill certification has got 15 grades. That means you cannot upskill. You can keep upskilling for next 7 years. So if there's only one level where you want to upskill, you upskill and go. Today, what happens is if you're a software developer, you have 5 levels in that. After that, you can become a business analyst. You can skill up again. So if somebody wants to just develop one skill to get higher salary, he would go. But here the opportunity is to skill on multiple levels. And he would skill in the area of his interest, which necessarily need not be what is required in the external market, right? He's doing because of his passion, not because of anything else. So our attrition, I said, has drastically come down in the period 2018 to 2020.
Okay, so designing a skill certification program with a purpose of retention.
Absolutely. See, the thing is, we always think that annual appraisal is the way to go, but it creates a huge problem. Like, for example, I know every organization will think I give an appraisal. Tomorrow morning, I should see how many people are going to put in their papers. Now, if you want to get out of that fear, we always thought that we shouldn't have fear. We should live without fear. So we said, guys, get increased when you want. Rather than, we have seen this in the past. We give an appraisal and that month we lose 10%.
That month, yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Thank you.
Thanks. Venkat, would you like to go next?
Sure. Shiv, excellent, very informative presentation. I personally was involved in several agile projects, so personally could relate and see your mature approach to the process. And I mean, normally I've seen cases where the agile transformation takes a long period of time, but that's probably, I think one thing that was very central in what you were mentioning is this whole concept of inverting the pyramid, empowering the people. Sometimes these journeys tend to happen without that aspect and look at it as a process. And so it never goes anywhere. It's about stand up and this and that. But the central key was so very well articulated by you that it's bringing that person who's at the forefront, right and center, and putting that. I mean, I read Vineet Nair's book on like inverting the pyramid, the employees first and people next. I don't know. You must definitely have read that, but I really saw a lot of that inverting of the pyramid along with agile as opposed to agile, and keep that aside. And normally you have failures in agile transformation. So having said that, I was just curious about, like, from a service side, you know, you're now looking at a product for the construction industry. Was there an idea that was there, or was this a byproduct of this whole transformation in the last 2 years, that this product idea came up because of the reuse and empowerment, or just?
Me and my other co-founder Mahesh both came from the software background. None of us are from the civil background. So we always looked at, and I came from Ramco. So I had that inclination of building a product, because if you want to have a long-term organization, the revenue should not be proportionate to the number of people or number of machines you have. That's a strong belief. Now, it was in the works, but where to start was a big question mark, Venkat. So that answers came from our internal development, which we did, because that was a survival issue, right? In order to survive, we need to build a lot of automation. Once we start building automation, we saw, oh, that's exactly the problem everybody is facing.
Right. Okay.
I think the transformation accelerated the process of moving towards becoming a product company. It did not start, but it accelerated the process.
I see. Wonderful. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have time for maybe a couple more questions before we close. Anyone? Go ahead, Rahul. Rahul, did you want to ask a question?
No, not me.
Okay.
Prakyat has his hand. King. Prakyat, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Shiv. So when it comes to the rewarding, right, like as you said, like if a particular team member has found something innovative because of which you were able to project it to the customer and get some deals around that and all that. But the problem, what happens typically is, like, even though it is one person's contribution in the team, but when it comes like rewarding time, the performance cycle, right, the HR comes with the guidelines. Okay, this is what the max you can do. But even though if you will know that that's not the right amount to be given, or the percentage to be given to the individual, but have you faced such situation, and how did you deal with that shift?
Yeah, typically, Prakyat, what happens is they'll come back and say, we'll compare all the people of similar experience and things like that. Now, in our appraisal system, it's two phases. A portion of the appraisal is based on the team performance. 60% of the increase is based on the team performance. 40% is based on the individual performance he has given beyond the team, not in the team, beyond the team. Now, in addition to that, there is a component which will be for what you have done in the previous year in terms of innovating an idea. We add a component which is, if that innovative idea is going to be used for the next 12 months, he keeps getting that component. It's a separate line item. The day we stop using that component, that salary component also goes off. It's not a permanent thing. So that means we also realize that finance is one of the most important reward. That means if you want people to keep coming up with newer and newer ideas, reward them as long as that innovative idea is used. That means more people will come. Somebody will try to do a better innovative idea than the one which is there. With that idea stops, that money stops, and somebody else's money starts kicking in. So we do not, like every other company's HR policy, we have the regular appraisal system, which is based on performance appraisal and things like that. But there is a separate line item towards innovation of the individual, because every team gets a higher incentive because they build more because of the innovative idea. Now, if I don't reward this guy, that means the innovation stops.
Right, and we might lose him also.
Yeah, and that see, losing is something which we have very confidently come out, Prakyat. Today, if you look at, we had one guy who's extremely good in one domain. Today, we have 30 people in the domain. 30 people are interested in that particular domain and they're working on it. They're competing amongst themselves, either individually or in groups, to innovate ideas. And today, when we go back and use a tool, we measure what is the amount of time saved by each team using that idea. So that means it is monitored, it is recorded, how much time it did actually save. That means the internal teams authenticate using that idea and saving time. So nobody is going to be upset saying that this guy got extra money, because that is published to everybody.
Yeah, true.
I think it's more to do with how much transparent you want to become. Is one of the things which I very famously remember all the time. 2000, I was part of the team which was taking Ramco Systems public. Having worked with Wipro, I went to Senapati and asked him, "What do you advise?" He said, "जितना नाका जाओगे उतना ज़्यादा पैसा मिलेगा. पूरा बोल दो."
Well said, yeah.
So I think it's extremely important to be very transparent, and it takes courage to be transparent. But once you reach there, you have nothing to fear.
Right. And added to that, like recently we saw one more issue actually, like especially the HR comes with a bell curve for the performance rating, right? They say that, okay, only this many percentage people can be your top rater and next will be a low rater. So you have to define the work, what they have done in the bell curve. So always we used to have this challenge. So what we did this time was we called a smaller team and we openly, transparently asked, okay, you cannot vote for yourself, but in the team of 5, whom do you think is a top performer in your team other than you? Right? So everybody anonymously voted, and then it was very easy for the manager to come up and say, okay, see, all of you think, majority of you think this guy has to be a top rater because of the reasons what you have given. So it is like, because we were transparent, everybody walked away with saying that, okay, we all accept this guy has to be a top performer. So something like that kind of thinking should come in the HR way of thinking.
I think more and more we should look at getting out of HR mindset. You know, in our monthly report, we ask the 6-member team, they have a monthly MIS which they circulate. They come back and let us know how each person has contributed to the team's success. They grade themselves and then submit every month. So that documentation is available. Your annual appraisal is summation of all those 12 reports, which says who contributed the maximum for the success for that particular month. Each month could be somebody else. And when you add it up, you get the annual appraisal. That's how we build transparency, Prakyat.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, Prakyat, awesome to know that you're following that practice, man. And that's one of the key things which we kind of ranking the stars is the name we call that in SemcoStyle framework, where the team themselves decides, who deserves what, how, etc. And Shiv, you have taken transparency to the next level. You have taken empowerment. The team decides everything. Amazing, brilliant. Vandana, any more questions?
Yeah, there is one more question. I don't know. I mean, I think people, guys, if you allow for one more question, how do you decide how much reward someone who came up with an idea to save time? So this is from Rahul Mohandas. I think partially I've answered the question already, but do you want to further?
Okay, it's a learning process, Rahul. We started this only about 4 months back. Now we got to evolve. How much does it benefit? So typically what happens is we measure how much we saved over the year, and then that gets rewarded over the next 12 months. That means we have information in terms of how much did it save this idea. So based on that, the reward is given. Is there a perfect measure? We may not have the perfect measure. What is important is the individual looks at being recognized, adequately compensated for what he did, not in terms of absolute number. So it's a learning which we need to go through in the current year and see whether did we really keep people happy the way we rewarded or not. We are not clear at this point of time. We just started in this financial year or this calendar year.
Hey, thanks so much, Shiv. I think it's past the allocated time, so 6:34 already. I appreciate your patiently answering all the questions. I mean, it was a phenomenal session. I knew it will be, but anyway, was still a phenomenal session. So thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. You have been a great audience, asked all the questions that came to your mind. So thanks for being there.
Everyone, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Thanks
again
a
in the
lot.
next session.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. And the journey continues. This feedback will help us.
Bring you back to the to share the next step.
Yeah.
You will hear from us very soon. We'll catch you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.